Welcome to the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. I'm your host, Brittany Alysia. Greatness is a decision and your birthright. You deserve to love the woman looking back at you in the mirror. This show is for the purpose-driven female entrepreneur who is committed to only counting the time she gets back up. The woman who is ready to ignite the flame within, find her voice, and use the power of her story to transform the lives of those around her. This is your weekly fuel to inspire you to action, where I'll be sharing inspirational stories, real talks with thought leaders and successful entrepreneurs from around the world, and provide you with actionable success strategies for creating a business you love. I'm a content marketing coach, and I'm committed to helping you as an online creator and entrepreneur wherever you are to turn your dreams into a reality, to help you transform your messaging so you can create a genuine connection with your audience and grow your income online. You are far more powerful and stronger than you will ever imagine. We are the warriors. You were born for this. Let's make life your bitch. Hello, and welcome to the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. I am your host, Brittany Alysia, and today I have Emily McGrath here with me, and I'm super excited. She is an entrepreneur. She is focused on helping women grow their businesses from the ground up, which I think is so important. There's so many people out there who want to focus on the women who want to scale. And I think it's, we definitely need to work with those women who are just getting things started, especially because I think that they're the most excitable and they're super connected to the why. I think along the way people forget that. And so I know you said that's absolutely the place that you love to hang out. I also want to let everyone know Emily has a podcast that you have to go listen to. It's called Business Building by Design. And so she's going to share with us today, how she got to where she is and really how she goes about helping her clients hit that next level moving forward. So welcome, Emily.
Thank you, Brittany. I'm so excited to be here. And like I said, I love your podcast, and I'm kind of new to manifesting, meditation, and so forth. And I just love your insights, and I'm looking forward to learning so much more from you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, before we jumped on, you were complimenting me, and it's always good. And if you've listened to the episode about the boomerang effect, it's so important that we absorb and take in all of that, the compliments that we do receive instead of just like firing them back out to people. It's so important that we feel it because that's how we manifest and bring more into our lives. So, for yourself, how did you get to where you are today with your business, making the decision to go all in on you?
Well, I think it's so funny because my mom has always said that I was her industrious one, that I was the one that was going to go and, do great things. Not that my siblings haven't, but that I've always been that way. I've always been driven. I've always wanted to reach for higher goals. And it's so funny because in the South, like you were talking about compliments, we've always been taught to be humble and not to, anytime anybody told me that I was pretty or that I was successful, it was, oh, you're too sweet. I'm not really, you're taught to that. And I think that's something that I've learned along the way is to take that compliment. And that's one of my main goals with my clients is to feed them, because they need to know they're beautiful. They need to know they're successful. They need to know that they have great things to offer to people, and everybody has something special to offer. So anyway, side note, I know squirrel, but
no, but I think that's so important because I think as mentors, as coaches, it's so important that obviously we're in our client's corner, but sometimes we are the only person who believes in them other than themselves. But it's like, I always say it's, I'm here to help you give your vision birth when nobody else believed in you, because nobody believed in me. It's like, we have our parents, but like, they're so afraid, especially because they're like, not millennials. They're like they're way back there. And it's like, they come in and they are like, but you need the benefits and you need this and you need that. And our dreams scare the shit out of them.
Absolutely. It's so funny because like people, I'll say something about having a podcast and they're like, that's your job? That's what you're wanting to do? Like, okay, and they roll their eyes. And I'm like, heck yeah. And I'm going to do it and work at it even harder because you don't think I can, so it's something that, yeah, it's so, I don't know, like you said, they're not millennials. They don't see it. And my son is in the same position. And so many people have told him he can't do what he's doing. People pay him to play video games every day, and people don't see that. They don't process that. So, and I think as mentors and as business coaches, we have to be open to so many things. And I think that's what makes you successful, because as well as I do, if you aren't open and you aren't ever changing and ever evolving, then you die and your business dies. And so I think that's something that I pound into my clients and I pound into them, because if they don't evolve, they can't do one thing and continue to do that thing for years and years and years, because it's not going to work. But back to the affirmations and being that person to be their cheerleader, I just recently with a client, I was like, okay, I wrote down like 20 things, affirmations for her. And I said, every day I want you to get up and I want you to say these to yourself in the mirror, because you are beautiful. You are amazing. You are worth all of this and all of the success. And like you said, sometimes we're the only people that do that. So I think that's so important. And I try to pour into my clients.
Yeah. And I know that's even something for myself. That's part of my morning routine.
Yes.
I do always say to people, like, you have to create the routines or the rituals for yourself that put you in that high vibration, because what I do might not work for someone else. And so sometimes it's trial and error. But, that is one of the things that I do is I set a timer for 2 minutes and I'm hands on my hips, chest forward, and I'm saying the I am statements. And, it's funny because I talked to someone once who said, people will say like, I am a multimillionaire. Yeah. And it's like your subconscious mind is like, no, you fucking aren't.
Right.
And so, it's just shifting that language so that it feels really good in your body. Because that's the whole point of it, is to raise your vibration, raise your energy. And so, for me, it's like, I am becoming that. Last year, before my daughter was, conceived, that was one of the things that I would say is like, I am a mom. And that one I felt really good about being able to say as if it's already happened. Yeah. Whereas there's other ones that it's like, we just want to tap into the energy. And that's really all, like, the purpose of that is like to raise our vibration, because, the clarity and the desires and the visualizations that we have, we want to be able to draw ourselves towards that. And how do we do that? We become magnets, right? Absolutely. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm totally that person that I know I have a strong energy. When I'm mad, everyone feels it.
Yes. Same.
When I'm happy, everyone feels it. And so it's reminding ourselves that with this like powerful energy that we have, like if we become the master of it, like anything becomes possible for us.
And I think that Brett tells me all the time, my significant other, he's like, you're a magnet for people. You're just a magnet. You just have that thing. But, I think the most difficult thing that I've had to deal with and to learn how to help my people is that I've always been positive. I've always known that I was something and meant for greater. But then again, some people are not that way. They are total opposite. And that's, I think, been the biggest challenge, is learning how to help them become good with themselves, and know that they're strong and know that they're significant and know that they can do great things. So that's been a huge challenge for me. And I may be getting off track, but I feel like you and I could talk for hours and hours. So anyway.
There's never anything of getting off track here on the podcast. I always like to say, this is raw, this is real. Yes. Where the conversation takes us, that's where it goes. And it was divinely guided. So I know for yourself, when you shared with me, when you first wanted to be on the podcast, you shared about how you became a mom fairly early on in life.
Yeah.
And like, as you were sharing about your son, I'm like, my thought came in is like, you guys were like so connected energetically at that point that of course that's,
Yes.
he has those beliefs in what he's doing.
Well, and it's so funny because like he and I are two peas in a pod. I mean, we are just on it all the time, and we are just, like you said, our energy, we're just the same. And, but yes, I did become a mom at 17 and I got married really young. And, I told you that, I went ahead and I did not graduate high school. I got my GED, which is equivalent diploma
Mhm.
here in the South or in the States. And so then I went on after I had him. I stayed at home with him for about 9 months because I have huge mom instincts, because my mom, I mean, we have kids everywhere. And, I'm about to go see, we have 17 nieces and nephews. So it's like crazy, but,
But fun.
yes, absolutely. It's never dull anywhere. We have lots of beauty queens and lots of great men in our family. So, but I became a mom really early, and I went ahead and went to college. I went in business to get my business degree. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was in politics and consulting and whatnot. And I swore that I would never teach school. Swore that I was like, I saw my mom do it. And I was like, never, 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 well, never say never, because I ended up, after I had my second son, I ended up going to school and teaching seventh grade. So that's like 13 years. Most people are like, hell no, not doing that age group. They are crazy. But I loved my people. I mean, I loved my babies. And that's where, like you said, everything is divinely done. And that's where we found our adopted son. And so he was in the States and he's Hispanic and he was illegally here and his mom had left him. And so he ended up at our house all the time. And so we just started asking questions and ended up, he is my son now. He's adopted legally and everything. And he is a grown adult teaching school himself. And it's so funny how God just puts you in the right place at the right time. But saying that, I was in education probably for 12 years. And then the two boys, they were in the same grade and they graduated at the same time and both went away. One went to college off. And then my other son went to the Air Force and served in our military. And so I found myself with one child at home. And if you know me, I am like Miss Energy. I have to be doing something. I can't sit still. And you probably can see that about me, but like, I was lost because I was unchallenged in my job at the time. And I was just like, this is crazy. So I started my own business because I'd always wanted to. We had already been flipping houses. And so I put in my interior design shop. And since then, it's just kind of taken off. Done more properties. I've gotten into the commercial real estate, renovating these old downtown properties and making them useful again. And also, the podcast is recent, but it's something I've always wanted to do. And I feel like I'm led to do it and that it's going to be super successful. So one of my manifestations is that by next year, I'm in the top 5% of my field. And also that I have a very, very successful coaching business because I feel like I've always done that in the past. And I love mentoring. Like I told you before, I love connecting people. And I look back and from going through my school experience and teaching and then having my store, it's prepared me to be where I am now. It's prepared me to have those connections. I'm on the board at the Alliance and I've met with these people and I know these people and I've worked with these people in industry and these people in commerce. I'm in the process of getting my real estate license. So all of these things I think have led me to where I am now and to enable me to share and teach people how to start from the ground zero. I mean, I started my store with nothing. So it was like all I had was ambition and the eagerness to learn how. So that's how I am here where I am today.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that we need to remind ourselves is that everything we have in life, we've manifested already, right?
Yes.
That's what got us to where we are. So, we get to be the creators moving forward as well. And I mean, of course, I talk to my clients about how to get there faster.
Yeah.
But, with yourself, like, and you think about that very first business based on like, interior design. And, also just sidebar, what I was thinking of while you were sharing about being a teacher. And it's like, well, of course you're a coach now.
Yes.
And it is like, it's all interconnected
Yes.
as to why we choose. And that's why I always ask people, what is your story? Because there's a journey that you went on to get where you are. There's a reason you chose the niche that you are in. And it's even as you were sharing about the buildings and like wanting to restore them into something beautiful. It's like, I really see that with yourself, is that you are that kind of person who it's like, you want to make everything beautiful around you. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's like, I'm going to make this beautiful. Let me show you.
That's in my bio. My startup for my podcast is that's what I love to do. I'm a lover of all things beautiful, and I do. And I can take anything. It's so funny because my clients will say, we just love you because you have the vision. You can see. I mean, one of our buildings was a shell. I'm telling you, it was just rubble. But I can go in and I can see and how it's beautiful. Even as rubble, it's gorgeous, and I can take that and make it into something really cool. So anyway, but
yeah, that's beautiful. And so, with your first business, you talked about like it was like that decision. I always say like greatness is a decision and your birthright, but it begins with a decision that you're going to be great, right? And so for yourself, like the reason I say this is because I think so many people come into business, like a lot of the time it's like they're at that rock bottom, right?
yes.
And they're like, this, like the people who are really driven, they're like, this is what I want. I'm deciding, like, I'm never going back to that, the life I was in. And so for yourself, like, that's kind of what you mentioned with the business is you made that decision that like, I was going to be driven to do this. And so what inspired you to do that? Like to really go all in on that? Like, and I know you mentioned like your son in that, but there was more to it. I know there was more to it.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, I've never been scared. Like that is not in my vocabulary. I have huge faith. I have huge faith in my God. I have huge faith in myself. And fear is not in my vocabulary. I was looking at my goals today and it was saying, what's holding you back? What are you fearful of? And I'm not. It's maybe I should be more. I don't know, but like
no. Don't even plant that seed into your head.
sorry. But I'm not fearful. And so it's like I see something, I'm gonna go for it. And if I want to do it, and I promise since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to own my own business, be my own boss. That was my thing. I'm gonna be my own boss. And and to me, it allowed me the flexibility because our youngest son plays college ball now, but like we traveled all the time. I wanted to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to go see my son in Baltimore that was in the Air Force. And of course my other son ended up in Texas and now he's in Memphis. So it's like I wanted that flexibility, but also I think it went back to creating. I love to create. I mean, I just, it's something I love pretty things. I love to put them together. I love just like people. I think it was something that it was a creative outlet for me at the beginning, and it still is because I love to write. I love my podcast. And I still decorate homes and I still help people find their dreams and find their vision. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just, I haven't ever had that fear to leap out there and do something. And it's almost like a bucket list. Somebody asked me the other day, because for a while I bartended for one of my friends. He was he just bought a bar, and it's on my bucket list. I'd never done it. I had recently gone through a divorce, and I was like, oh, yeah, count me in. I know. And I'm not, most people were like, I cannot see you bartending, but I had the time of my life. I loved it. I loved connecting with the people. I don't do it anymore. He got it off the ground, and we're good. So, and I don't have time to do it. So anyway, but I guess it was just something I'd always wanted to do. And it was a creative outlet for me and something that I could focus on. So I don't know if that answered your question, but.
And, with those things, like when we create those bucket lists and that kind of thing, I think they're so important because, you mentioned that like, maybe I should have more fear. And it's like, let's not even go down that road, because you are so fortunate that you are one of those people who doesn't have that, where because like so many people, like that is the key thing that holds people back. I shared on the podcast last night, or I guess it released today, about frustration. Frustration is the worst energy that you will ever, have, because it's stagnant energy. Like there is no moving from there, and you have to either go towards joy, or if you want to like rage it out, that's fine. But it's like getting that energy moving. And so people in fear, it's the same thing, right? Someone comes up to you and they scare you, and you like freeze, and you like hold your breath until you're like, oh my goodness, like, you scared me there. Right. And it's like the same sort of thing. And it, when we can remove those fears and say like, I have a knowing of this, it's completely, it puts you in a different world, and we become pioneers of our own life, because I think we get too caught up in seeing what everyone else is doing and thinking that we're not normal. And so it's like our dreams. Like I remember the first time we were at my boyfriend's parents' house for supper, and his sister-in-law, we're not married, so she's not quite my sister-in-law yet, but his sister-in-law, I had said something like just nonchalantly about like having a desire to be a millionaire. And she's like, yeah, like that's gonna happen. And she's like, and it's because I surround myself with people that, like, to me, I'm like, $1 million is not that much.
Yeah, right.
And it, but it becomes like you get to create like that norm for yourself. We're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, I believe.
Yes.
And so like when you're bringing those people in who don't have quite the same goals as you, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I should play smaller. Like maybe I am too much. Maybe I want too much. Does that make me greedy? And so I think it's so important that, we hang out in that place of people who are ready for that next level.
Absolutely. And I think, I think too that that speaks to having a mentor, having a business coach, and having one that progresses with you. Yes, you may resonate with me right now because you are just getting started, or I feel like there's somebody for everybody in each place as we grow, and as we grow as people, and as we grow as business owners. So I feel like if I'm not fitting your needs, or maybe you've outgrown me, maybe you need to go to someone else. And I'm all about that, because I can look back and look at the different people that I've worked with and that have mentored me and that have coached me. And like right now, I'm in that zone where I feel like I need a coach on another level. And I'm just there, and I'm searching, praying, looking, waiting for, manifesting, trying to figure out who is that person going to be. And that's going to meet my needs where I am now. That's the important thing. And I think that's key when you're looking for a business coach, or you're looking for a life coach, is someone that's going to meet your needs where you are and help you grow to that next level. And back to the fear thing, I've always been that person that if frustration does come or something happens, I'm not going to stay there. I'm going to say, okay, what are we going to do about this? How am I going to handle this? How am I going to move forward? And how are we going to fix it? So not necessarily, I can't fix everything on my own, but I can definitely try and make it better, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think for you, that's, probably a very big driving force for, even your success today is that you're able to already see the beauty in those things. And like you said, like you're already a very positive person. And it is like, some people really struggle with the positivity. And for some of us, like these things just become so natural to us. And I know for myself, like with my clients, I'm like, this stuff comes natural, which is why I like to, like, I don't want to, like I said, like, I don't want to say dumb shit down, but like
Yeah.
to the point that like everyone is able to understand it, because I think when you can make something tangible and you can like visually see it, it's like, it makes things so much easier. And yeah, it's about trusting yourself, but it begins with trusting yourself. But I'm like, if I can help you get there faster by seeing the trust and like trusting
Yeah.
that like, oh, there's science behind
Yes.
manifestation. Oh,
Yeah.
um, and like you said, having a coach or a mentor is crucial to our
Mhm.
growth. I remember my dad saying to me one time, like, well, Brittany, when are you going to be able to like do business without having a mentor? And I'm like, never.
Never.
Because it's that growth. And it's even that person that when something does happen in life and it's a life thing, because I always say, like, you need to build your business around your life. Life
Yeah.
comes first.
Absolutely.
And I said, like, life stuff happens. And
Mhm.
what happens is it creates a ripple effect and it affects your business. And so if we can push ourselves to that next level by having that person that we can just reach out to, that's why I think Voxer is like
Uh-huh.
absolutely amazing now, is because my clients become my best friends. So I'm like, I have no problem like talking to my clients like all day. It's probably a boundary that I should have, but
Yeah.
I love it.
If you love it, do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like you said, like we choose coaches or mentors that are going to get us somewhere faster. They've gone through it.
Mhm.
And I had a client say to me recently, she's like, Brittany, I'm just going to hire you as my private coach. She's like, because she's like, I could do the research. I could do all the things based on spirituality. She's like, but it seems like silly, but she's like, I want what you have. I want to know how you're doing it.
Mhm.
And so why go out and try and figure it out on our own?
Well, I think that that's so true. Like, why try to waste those hours when you have somebody that's already put in the work, put in the time? And I'm seeing 333 on my 333. I'm about the
Me
numbers now.
too. Oh, I am too.
Yeah. And so anyway, but squirrel. But it's just I even forgot what I was saying, but anyway, yes. So having that coach and that mentor is so cool. And I love connecting. I love meeting somebody and seeing their view. I think that's something that as an educator, we have to be willing to listen, because I learned so much from my people. And even when I taught school, they may have been 12 and 13 years old, but I learned a lot from those kids. And I think that a lot of times we get in our zone and we get in our own world, our own vortex, and we block all that out. And I think when we block that out and we're not listening, we're not receiving, like, then we can't grow. We're stuck in that frustration mode, or we're stuck in that moment. And I think that that's something that we just have to be conscious of. Is to always be listening and open and
Mhm.
willing to learn.
Yeah. And I think that's why the feminine and masculine energy is so important in creating that balance. I know for myself, one of the things I do is like, I connect with my feminine energy, meditate like first thing in the morning, even if it's only a few minutes, right?
Yes.
And when I can, you know, slow it down, don't pick up my phone and do that first, my feminine is like, my feminine is the one who like is in control. She's
Yes.
like, goes and tells the masculine, like, go do this now.
Yeah.
Then I go downstairs and I have my coffee. I'm still drinking coffee.
Yeah.
And, it's like, hey, now this is your next move. Versus I like, if we're so caught in the zone, like it's good, like, when to be in the zone, like you said, you're
Right.
creative. I'm that person who it's like, I throw my headphones on when I'm creating because I like to
Yes.
block out the sounds and my own thoughts. But it is. It's like moving from that place of alignment,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I agree. Totally. So,
Yeah. And so when you're working with someone, when they first like connect with you and they're ready to start their business, like how does that process work? Because like you said, like energetically, you're like, this is easy, but
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I ask them, I have a series of questions and questionnaires that I have, forms that they fill out, and I ask them, about themselves, because I have to know them before, just like you said, everybody has a story, everybody has a history. I want to know what they like to do for a hobby, what they think they're good at, what they think is a struggle for them. Um, I really assess. I'm all about an Enneagram. I love an Enneagram. It's something that I just go to. It's just like I'm gravitate toward, especially as an educator. So I want to see who they are as a person, because that's going to help me see where they're going to go as a business owner. Because they may be really, really good. They may think that they want to be an interior designer, but they can't clothe themselves. So, you know what I'm saying? It's just, everybody's different, and everybody has a skill. Everybody has something that they're good at. I like to know their spiritual gifts. I like to know what their love languages are, because to me, that's important.
Mhm.
And like me, I'm a gift giver. I love to give
Me,
gifts. And so,
and I'm totally that person too. I love to give gifts, but it's not my love language for receiving back.
me either. Me either. I don't. I'm okay with that. I want physical affection, or so it's everybody's different, but I'm a gift giver, and that's what I had. I had a gift store, and I did bridal registry, and you know sweet little gifts, and I give gifts all the time, and I love it. That is like my favorite thing to do. And so, anyway, I just like to take that person as a whole, and then I like to see what their thoughts are for their business. What do they think they're going to do? What do they think their goals are going to be? And then I help them, I guess, create those steps to get there. And I look into their energy. It may be somebody that I'm not aligned with, and I know that we're not in tune. And I will say, I'm sorry, I just don't think that I'm the right person for you. And I might send them to somebody that I think is. So,
Yeah, and I think that's so important. That's a lesson that I had to learn
yes.
was, I have obviously my smaller programs and that I don't do calls with, but I had stopped doing calls for a while, and it's just recently it's one of those things where some people came into my world that I was like, this is misaligned, you
Right.
know, and being able to go back to the conversational piece, because I believe in selling through connection, you
Yes.
know, and that connection piece is so important. It's like being able to like connect to someone's soul and them hearing, and that's why I love the power of story, is like they hear your story and they're just like, her, like
Yeah.
she's the woman to help me go after my dreams. And that's one of the reasons why I love when you ladies come on and share your stories,
Mhm.
because then people hear your story and they're like, she's like me, it's not really the what you do, it's like who this person is. And it's like, I want to work with her because I know she's going to get me there, because she's an embodiment of her work. This is
Yeah.
her story. And so that's why I always say, like, the power of your story is so important. And I say to people, like, when you come on the podcast, before they come on, it's like you just get to tell your story,
Yeah.
and then people are like, connected with you as to why you do what you do.
And I think that makes for a successful business as well, as knowing your story. Because if you don't know your story, you don't know where you're going to go. If you don't know
Mhm.
where you've been, you're not going to know where you're going. So, but too, I work with people that want to get their business off the ground, but everybody starts with a seed. Everybody starts with that thought or that idea. So you may grow really, really quickly. And just like I did, sometimes you grow too fast, and you
Mhm.
have to take a stop. And, whenever I first opened my store, I had 2 stores within a year. And then someone approached me, gave me an unbelievable deal that I thought I'm an idiot to pass up, but I had to, because I was growing way too fast. And I think you have to be able to recognize that. But everybody starts with something really small, and then you have to know how to feed that and make it into what your dream is. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's so important that we are connected to that, and being okay if, we do slow down, because it's not really slowing down. It's that if we don't, take this assessment of everything going on, it's like, I know, like, there's that knowing. It's like, ugh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna crash and burn.
Well, I think too, like if people like you and I, it's really hard for us to pull back. I know it always
Mhm.
has been for me, because I'm like, I wanted everything. I wanted all sparkle, diamonds, everything, so I'm going to be chasing that new sparkly object. But it took me a long time to realize that, one, I have to focus on myself. Two, I have to have my family in order. And then I can worry about work. And I feel like I'm way more successful when I focus in on one thing or two things than if I'm trying to chase all the shiny objects.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's like not allowing yourself to get distracted by the shiny objects, which can be difficult,
It can
you
be.
know, especially because me loving to create and that kind of thing, it's like getting like, I have ideas coming all over, and like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely one of the things that I love when it comes to my business, is like the side of things where someone's like creating, offers or something like that. And this is often stuff I do behind the scenes. But, when it comes to their offers, their content, and they're trying to think of ideas. And it's just like, for me, I don't know if you follow human design, but I'm a self-projected projector, which means like, if you think of like an actual projector, like, it's
Yeah.
like I see this bird's eye view of like everybody's businesses, and I'm like, oh my God, like, can you do this and this and this and this? And they're
I'm
like,
the
how do you
same
come up
way.
with these ideas?
I know. I do the same thing, and people look at me like, are you crazy? And I'm like, I promise you, it will be great. Just do it. And they don't always do what we say, but at least we can see that. And I'm the same way. I'm like, you need to be doing so and so, or you need to be doing so and so. And they don't always listen, but that's okay too. And but I can see, I'm the same way you are. I can see people and what they should be doing in their businesses, or what they could be doing, or doing it more efficiently, or not necessarily efficiently, but like, I'm like, you could be booming if you would implement this. So anyway, but
And
like I
it's
said,
about getting to have fun in your
absolutely.
business.
Yes.
One of the women I was talking to on Monday for our Make Life Your Bitch call, I said to her, like, we were talking about reels,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I was saying like she does perimenopause and that kind of thing. And I was like, you need to do some reels that are just super fun, of like going to your thermostat and having like someone's like, as if you're like slapping someone's like hand away, of like, stop fucking touching the thermostat. And I'm like, because like those kinds of things, I was like, are so fun. She's like, oh my God, I'm gonna do that. Like, that does sound fun. Whereas there's other people, you say stuff like that and they're like, I mean, have every excuse in the book as to why it's not a good idea.
Yes.
But it's
Well, one
getting
of
to
my
do what
Yeah,
uh
absolutely. One of my assistants, she's like, okay, Miss M, we've got, which I taught her a long time ago. And so now she's working with me, and which is so awesome. I love that. And so she's like, okay, Miss M, we have got to get on TikTok and we have to start doing this. And I'm like, okay, you just tell me what to do. I'm good with it. So it, like you said, it's all about having fun. It's about if you aren't having fun in your business, I tell people you need to do something different. You need to get out, and you'll know the right time. I was just working with a client recently, and she's decided to take her business in a totally different direction because she wasn't loving it. It was something that she dreaded doing every day. And I said, that is not life. That is not something that you should be doing. So she's redirected, and she said it's just like a weight lifted off of her. And she feels like this is so what I need to be doing. And so anyway, she didn't expect that to happen when we first started, but it came to fruition, and it's been really great for her. So I think it's just seeing what is out there and staying aligned and knowing yourself. So,
Mhm. And how are you currently doing that? Like, tapping into, because I know you said like it's only been in the last like 6 months. So it's like, to me that seems so funny because like you said, like I don't struggle with fear, and I'm very positive, but it's like you said, like there's always that next level that we can
yeah,
take people at, right?
sure,
And so for yourself, like how has that been guiding you through, like, focusing on manifestation and meditation? Like, how is that
sure.
shifting your life, and how are you going about just getting started with it?
Okay. So, I am not a morning person. Okay. Like, not at all. It's really difficult for me in the morning, but my boyfriend, he says, like, you're a zombie in the morning. Do not talk to her for at least an hour. And she's had 2 cups of coffee. So I generally get up around, I know this may be awful to some people, 7 o'clock in the morning. No, my sister gets up at 4 a.m. That not me,
Okay,
at
wait.
all.
You said you're not a morning person. You get up at 7?
Yes, well, I would love to sleep till 9 or 10, but it's not conducive, okay? I can't. Some mornings I do, though. Some mornings I don't get up till 9, but I try my best to get up at 7. And usually my alarm's going off and I'm hitting snooze and snooze and snooze. But anyway, so I need at least an hour to just collect myself, to just start functioning. Like I said, have 2 cups of coffee and just start to be able to think. And then I have my quiet time. So I am a Christian. I read my Bible every day. And I have my devotional that I follow. I have my thoughts. I work on scripture. And then I have my prayer journal that I write in. But also I think that leads into my manifestation. And so I take usually 15 to 20 minutes if I have that time. Sometimes it's 5, like you said, but I'll take that 5 to 15 minutes and I will meditate. I'll do a manifestation meditation. I'll do one if I'm feeling like I need to be creative that day. I may do a creative meditation, but I try to take that 15 to 20 minutes each day to just stop and do that meditation time. Now, sometimes if I don't get up till later, I love to walk. Okay. I am a walking freak because that is when I'm the most creative. And I don't know if I've studied Nietzsche and whatnot. And he says that is when you're in your most creative form is when you're moving. So walking specifically. So that is one of my favorite things to do because I can go and I'll listen to a podcast or it may just be in complete silence and I'll walk 3 or 4 miles and I'll have the whole world figured out. I mean, I'm just like, I got it all going on. And then I get back in my car and I start making notes because that's when I'm most creative. So those are the different ways that I meditate or I manifest. And then 2, I listen to Abraham Hicks. I listen to you, to Kathy Heller, to different people. And just try to stay in a positive vibe. But also, I think, just like you said in your podcast yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, most people they hiccup in that they don't allow themselves to have those negative thoughts. They think immediately as soon as they have that negative thought, they've got to get rid of it. Well, taking that and processing it and letting it, like you said, move through and figuring out why you're having that thought, what are you going to do, or retraining your brain. So as Joe Dispenza says, but retraining your brain. So anyway, so that's just kind of a few things that I do. And most of the time I don't sleep well. So like I said, I'm not a morning person, but I'm usually up around 2 or 3 a.m. and I'm up for several hours. But I'm having ideas. My head is so full of thoughts that I have a notebook and I'm just writing down everything. And then I get up in the morning and I think, what the hell was I thinking when I wrote that or when that came in my mind? And then some of the ideas are great. And some of the ideas, that's how I came up with my business name when I started it, but it's just, I don't know. So letting your mind do what it needs to do, because I don't think it should always be. When I meditate, I don't necessarily want to get to a point where I'm not thinking anything. I think you have to allow thoughts. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? But your thoughts come, but it's about being able to manage those thoughts and process those thoughts. And when I have that thought, putting it somewhere, putting it in a file that it needs to go in, if that makes sense. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's all sorts of different types of meditations. It's kind of like sometimes what your goal is
Yeah.
with the meditation. I talk about these different meditations in my Abundance Codes program. But there's like grounding meditations, right?
Yes.
There's one on the podcast. There's like visualizations. There's just breathing where you're just
Yes.
like listening to music. With me, the first meditation I do in the morning is silence.
Mhm.
And for me, it's in being an observer of
Mhm.
my thoughts. And just being there and like not attaching myself to the thought, but like watching. I watch
Yes.
them go by. One of my clients, she was struggling with that. And I said, act as if they're in bubbles, you know?
That's kind of what I was trying to say. But
Mhm.
it's watching your thoughts or seeing them, or like you said, go ahead with your illustration. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's what I was just going to say was like, with that, where there are some people who are trying to get to that place of like complete calm stillness. So it's kind of goes into like, well, what is the reason that I'm like meditating now? Like what is kind of the goal here? And it really is, it's moving that energy through our body. I know for myself, I'm a night owl. Like
Yeah.
for me, I'm probably going to sleep when you get up. I take night shift with my daughter.
Yeah.
She'll probably end up being a night owl because I don't put her to bed till 11:30, but she sleeps till 10 in the morning.
Mhm.
And so between 11:30 and 5, I'm actually doing business stuff
Yeah.
because I appreciate the silence within my house and the calmness. And so for me, that's usually also when I create my content or like, I do a post online is because I'm in such a relaxed state, like brain wise, that things come through the heart versus getting so caught up in the thoughts in the head.
Well, I think it's so funny that you said that because I think that, and I try to relay this to my customers or my clients, but everybody's different. What works
Mhm.
for you may not work for me because I have most of my ideas when I'm moving or working. Most of my creativity comes then. Yes, I do have ideas whenever I come out of sleep or I've been quiet, and I love that quiet time because most of the time I'm a hustle and bustle. It's like once I get going, I'm going. And then when I stop, I'm done. But it's so funny because everybody's different and what
Mhm.
works for me may not work for you. So I think that that's where people get caught up in imposter syndrome or they get caught up in trying to do what someone else is doing because you can't imitate them. You can't be them. You have to be you and you have to do what's right for you. And you've got to figure out what you do best and how you create and what meditations work for you or what quiet time works for you or you've got to figure that out for yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And it's just at the end of the day, it's
Mhm.
tapping into the energy,
Mhm.
right? And like, I'm totally that person too, where I'll wake up in the middle of the night or have thoughts where I'll like jot
Yes.
them down. When I first like got the download about even understanding the quantum and the dimensions, it was one of those things where I like woke up and I was like, pulled out my book and I was just like
Yes.
writing. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is something I need to teach people because once you understand this and you can visualize it, like there's no going back.
Right.
There's no going back from it. And if you do choose to like step back into the 3D and struggling or like, existing essentially,
Yes.
like you like now you can identify, well, this is a choice,
Right.
right? And it becomes easier to move yourself up to like a fifth dimension or whatever it is. I digress. But like I think, the way we show up, the meditation, it's just looking at what the reason is for what we're doing it and what are we trying to achieve on the other side. like we said, hiring a coach and really tapping into that positivity. And so for yourself, I know you said like with I think you said it's an antique business,
Uh-huh,
correct?
uh-huh. Yes, well, we
Yeah.
do. I love antiques, so we do antiques too. So, mhm.
And so how do you think that that affects your energy?
um, I think that gosh, it's so funny because I say this to my people and to my assistant, and I'll say a piece speaks to me, but I don't know how to explain it. It's like I can look at a piece and I can just feel it. I can just feel like I have this antique butcher block that is, from the 1800s, and it is utterly amazing. It has the original paint, and you can see the carvings where someone used it. I mean, it's just, and it speaks to me, and I can't explain it to anyone. It's just like a building. When I see a building, or I go into someone's home, I can feel their energy and what they need, and know exactly what to put in that space, if that makes sense. But I don't know how to explain it.
Well, and I think that's why you probably love working with women in business and growing it from the ground up. Like, right? Like, I mean, it just keeps coming back to like why you're so passionate about the
Yeah.
antiquing and everything. It's like, taking something like you said that's like rubble, and it's like, let's create like this beautiful masterpiece
Yeah.
for yourself. And it's sometimes like we have a vision for someone's business
Yeah.
because they share it with us. And one of the things I always love to do is doing the 12-month
Uh-huh.
meditation. And I always love to be the one to do it with my clients, because the really cool thing about it is that when they can put themselves there, I'm there too.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like you have this like combined energy of
Yeah.
like, it's like this is already happening for you
Yeah.
because we've both been there.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't be able to visualize it if
Yeah.
it's not possible.
Right. Right. And I think too, like when you get in that vibe, it's just like my assistant and my boyfriend, we're just like, your energies just match. I mean, it's just like you just vibe. I mean, and she knows what I need. I know what she needs. And he knows what I need, and I know what he needs. And my assistant is like, we get to working, and we're just spitting stuff out. And
Mhm.
it's like, hey, we just did a week's worth of work in 4 hours. But
Mhm.
I think that's, with your clients too, like you said, doing that meditation allows you to get in the same energy, allows you to be able to connect in a way that you wouldn't normally connect. So I
Mhm.
think that's so cool. That's awesome to me.
That's amazing. So, is there anything else that you can share with them, like, with our audience about just that feeling of what it's like to work with you when someone enters your world and the transformations that some of your clients have had
Mhm.
from working with you with their businesses?
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing is that they actually find themselves. They find their vibe. They find their niche. That's so cool to me. And especially like as a school teacher and having that background, when somebody gets it, that light bulbs goes off. I mean, that is an amazing moment. And so just helping my clients get to that point is so exciting, and it's just invigorating, and it makes you want to go deeper, and it makes them want to go. And when they get charged, I get charged, and when I'm charged, they're charged. I think that it's to somebody that wants to work with me, they have to know that I am higher energy. I am going to push them, and I am able to see what I want for them, and it's helping them see what I see. Not that I'm just necessarily right, but that I've had that experience, or I can see something. And that is one of my go tos, is when I'm feeling unsure, or I'm looking for something that next level. I tend to go to people and say, okay, how do you see me? I want to know how they see me. I want to know, not that I take that information and use it negatively. It's just that I want to see where they see me going, because that's important to me too. I don't know, like you may be able to see something about me that I can't see. So
Mhm.
from the outside looking in, it's just like my kids, as a mother, and that you're going to be able to help direct your child. You're going to be able to help her grow and prosper. And just like my boys, I've taught them things that they've implemented in their life, and they come back and they say it to me, or I hear them say something that I've taught them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's totally sunk in. So I think that's the biggest thing is, I love working with my clients. I love pouring into people. I think that's what makes me um valuable, is I love to pour into my people. And I know who I like to work with, and I know who to say no to most of the time too. So
Mhm.
anyway.
And it's really like pouring that beauty. And it's like, let me show you the beauty that I see for you on those days that you don't see it for yourself. Because
Yes.
we get like this tunnel vision,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so who are the people that you love working with?
Um, just somebody that is eager to be successful. They may not know what direction to go in, or they may not know exactly how to get there, but they're eager to work. I am a hard worker, and I know when to cut things off, and I know when to go. And so I love to see those people that want to be successful. They want to contribute. I want to be with somebody that wants to contribute to our community. I want to be with somebody who wants to contribute to their family. And I like someone that is unselfish, because I feel like I'm unselfish. I love to pour into other people. I want other women to be successful. I am not someone who is going to sit back and judge another woman or be jealous that they're successful. Hey, we can all be successful.
Mhm.
So, that's important for me too. I want them to be somebody that wants to pour into other women and take what they do and share it. So, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So, yeah. Anyway.
It 100% makes sense, because that's the goal of my podcast, and just like the women that I work with in the world. It's like, it's like I want to help women share a message so powerful they change the world, because
Yes.
every time you share your message, right here, it's going to
Yeah.
create a ripple effect for my audience, right?
Absolutely.
And, by you listening to someone else or whatever, it's like it just creates this beautiful ripple of, really making a difference and changing the world and helping people see that it's possible
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
them. For those people who are just starting out, it's like, you know, someone's going to believe in me and see the beauty,
Mm-hmm.
like, that sometimes, like, we're those little girls. And it's like you said, I had this dream that I wanted to start my own like business, and being able to have someone who is going to celebrate and share that beauty
Yes.
with you. Cause it feels so good when you like can celebrate something with your coach
Yes.
and you're like, this is what I've been working on. And like, I did it. And you can feel their like genuine excitement for your accomplishment, because they understand it and they see the hard work that you've put in.
Yes. Well, I hope that answers your question, but I want someone that's eager, someone that wants to be successful, somebody that wants to share and to celebrate. I mean, those are, I guess, the four things that of women that I love to work with. So maybe that
Mhm.
answers your question.
Yeah. And you said a lot of small businesses you love to work with. Like, and I love that you have shared with me, it's the brick and mortar too,
Yeah.
because I think there's a lot of people out there who are doing the online business to the online business. And I think there's women who need what you're offering as to, let me show you how to do this, in the brick and mortar side of
Yeah.
things.
Well, too, I think that with the coming of the internet and social media, and I think a lot of our just interaction, social interaction, has gone astray. I mean,
Hmm.
totally through text and just, things like that. But like, people need people. I don't care who you are. People need people. And that's one of the biggest things that my customers always said, was that they loved my attention. They loved me being there. They loved being able to come in and feel and touch and see things, not just ordering online from Wayfair, or not ordering online and not being able to see it before they actually got the product. But also, just that personal interaction, just the personal attention. People need that too, and I think that a brick and mortar store can offer that. And they're still out there. I promise. They're everywhere.
Mhm.
Our small town, we have them all over. So, they're there. And I think that there's still a need for them. And I love being able to help women do that.
That's amazing. And so if someone wanted to work with you, how would they go about doing that?
One, they can email me at Emily, that's EMILY, at emilyjansenmcgrath.com, and I can send that to you for show notes. But it's Emily Jansen, and Jansen is with a Z, McGrath.com. And then also they can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Business Building by Design. They can follow us there. I have a private Facebook group for my clients and for people that are in business that want to connect with me on a different level. And it's the Business Building by Design. And then also the Instagram is Business Building by Design. And they can message us there if they'd like to. So no problem.
I'll make sure, like, in the description of here, like, they will have all the information for your website, your connections on social media, and so that they can make sure that they connect with you and be able to move forward with you. And so what is like your number one offer of what you love to, offer to people? And it's like, of all the things that I do, this is like the one thing that it's like you need to jump in on to change your life.
Well, I think masterminds. I love group coaching because it allows, especially in a small business environment, it allows women to interact, create those connections that they need, but also to brainstorm and just talk out loud. Because when we talk out loud, so much gets solved in such a short period of time, especially with other people, other entrepreneurs, other people that are like-minded. And so I think that is where we find the most success. And again, people need people. So it's all about connecting. And like I told you, I have a passion for connecting people, and I work with everybody in my community. I don't care. I'm all about working with them. If I don't have something, I'm sending it to my neighbor who does. And knowing those people and knowing that you can connect with them and that they're there, or you can reach out to them for something that you need. So I guess the mastermind is the biggest one. We've got one coming up in January, but anytime that somebody wants to jump in, heck, we'll create one if we need to. So it's given time.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You're such a gem. You're just such a beautiful soul.
Well, thank you.
And so, it was fabulous to have you. Yeah. And for all of you listening, make sure you go out there and make life your bitch. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Make Life Your Bitch podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please share it with your bestie. And if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast player. If you have any questions, feedback, or compliments that you want to throw like confetti, you can reach me directly at podcast@makelifeyourbitch.co. Thanks for listening.